I was really enjoying that track.
Sonic Picnic, man.
Yeah, Sonic Picnic knows what they're doing, and
they do.
Some of the musical influences that they get are really interesting, but that requires
a lot of
talking.
We did an entire Awesomenauts podcast once about musical influences.
Well,
with our good
that was
Weasel.
a quarter. That was the quarter of like the podcast.
The quarter,
section.
yeah.
The
entire quarter was guess the music, guess the reference, and I kind of miss Weasel a little bit. I kind of miss the drop pod, but you know, Sonic Picnic, solid music. Solid music.
And really interesting references, and I love what they do with this stuff. They're creative guys. But you want to know who else are a bunch of creative guys?
These guys.
The players.
The players
coming up with different strategies. Good job. You get one fist bump.
Awesome.
Okay, so you got all these different players. You got all these different characters. And let's take a look at the lineups. Gallo, sticking with what they know works well. So their bread and butter.
It worked really well.
It worked really well last time. Skoldir, Clunk, Lone Star. There are bans. So the fact that neither of those three got banned out again shows that maybe, just maybe, there's something more frightening that Gallo has in their back pocket that HVT said, you know what, we just don't want that. HVT sitting on Scoop, Clunk, and Genji. I'm
going to take a wild guess that, amongst some Coco and Penny, we're probably, and Scoop, since we don't see one here on Gallo, they feel like, big Gallo kind of plays. I'm trying to remember some previous games if they actually had some specialists on that or not. But, that's just a wild stab in the dark. We don't actually get the draft info, which is a shame, but c'est la vie. Either way, hot Voltar train. We're going back to basics. Aguilon is going to be the map. And this is their time to shine. If they cannot bring this back, then it will be a 2-0, and they will not be going to qualifiers.
Gallo, on the other hand, if they lose, then it's going to be a 1-1 series. We'll go to a game 3, and both of their qualifier ambitions, still will be alive at that point. But we'll see who ends up still alive at the end of this match. This will be a brutal one, being on Aguillon, and with the team lineups that they've got going, I expect this to be very, very dirty. So let's go ahead. Let's get into this game. HVT versus Gallo. Round 2 in this best of 3. Gallo currently 1 up.
Round 2 indeed. Yeah, this is match point. HVT once again forsaking the Voltar for these guys.
Yeah, we've got Genji, poor man Voltar, being played by Luigi. Tozar being the scoop player for the evening and collector's edition on the Creeper Clunk. On the blue team, Gallo PO playing his Lone Star, Malkno playing his Clunk, and Shitzy playing his Skoldir. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, as you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right off the bat, though, a lot of base abilities. The Dynamite Bull for the Lone Star. Got, of course, the bite, the explode there for the Clunk, and the double from our Skoldir as well. So Blue knows what's up. They know that they need to use these, and there is the combo once more. Collector's is not going to make a big mistake, but instead it's actually going to be the Earthquake dot ticking down for Shirtzy's first blood.
Yeah, that was really good throw out of Shirtzy and a good collapse. Collector's Edition going for the explode, and this time, instead of dying instantly next to the enemy team, he ends up dying far away from his friends, from his family, and giving the solar
Circuit
anyway.
boards.
So
yeah,
friends, family, circuit boards. Now, one of the things that I am looking at right now, and I'm thinking, oh, this could be bad.
Piggy bank into boots. Oh no.
Yeah, piggy bank into boots on both the Clunks. But on top of that, Genji, he needs to go Cocoon or Blessing and fast. If he doesn't, that Genji is going to be so vulnerable to all kinds of terrible Skoldir shenanigans.
Genji piggy banked into what? Auto attacks?
Into the poison damage on the auto attack and the long range on the auto attack. So
yeah, all right.
In both cases, auto attack upgrades. He's going for the poke, but not the it's not the heaviest way to farm on Genji. And if you need solar, and you do,
bro.
Yeah. But in that case, also, you want to be going for stuff that'll keep you alive. PO now taking an explode or not, but that dot might be enough to save him if he can get out of there. Luigi going for the oh no! Luigi gets thrown out at exactly the right time, but it doesn't matter. Collector's Edition picking up that double kill, and Malkno now trying to get away. The Cocoon going to come out. Luigi is going to go ahead and try to left click as hard as he can. Genji, a really strong left clicker. He's able to chase Malkno pretty high, but not high enough, and Malkno's just going to go down here, pick up some HP, and get right back to farming away. Yeah. So Luigi almost picking up the kill there with his long-range poking auto attacks, but like I mentioned before, he doesn't have either of his abilities, which are both the things that will keep his teammates alive. And both of his teammates really do need to be that tank. They do need to be able to deal that damage and survive long enough to do so. And if they don't, then yeah, game over. So
Reaper Genji's so cute.
Oh, it's amazing. In comes the throw. In comes the explode. In comes the bite. Luigi's alive.
Wow.
That's a surprise.
Well, I guess we don't really have any kind of big upgrades there on that Explode, but the combo is still being very strongly executed here from Gallo. They're tossing people into Explodes, it's getting them low, they're not going to be rendered, a little bit useless for a little bit. The double kill on top of Collector's Ed was fantastic for him, great amount of cash, good amount of pressure to be reapplied to this map, and it also tells him that, yeah, this could work, because look at that, they are now landing some of their own Explodes. Tozar, however, is not going to be so lucky, but they do trade it 1 for 1, and that puts us even with kills. Yeah,
3 kills on the board for both teams. 3 minutes into this game. This is really fast. Genji now picking up Cocoon, but he's got Cocoon with last Paraday transformation, which is a good way to push, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's a great way to split push, and just sometimes it's not a good idea. And in this case, I think that maybe a different Cocoon upgrade or even just basic Blessing would have been very helpful by comparison. Like we mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Basic Blessing against the Clunk in particular. It is a very powerful little ability, and in this case, I would expect it to be no different. A well-placed Blessing can easily save a team a lot of heartbreak and terribleness. So honestly, it's an interesting pickup, going for split push in a time when tanky people that can take out flying droids are abundant on the other team. So they're just going for that easy, like, pushing ability. And if they ever get the push to ever come off properly, if they ever do get an opportunity to get to a tower for a little while unimpeded, it'll help. But until that time, I'm not so sure how I feel about this upgrade.
Cocoons are coming out, though, from the Genji, so at least he has one of those bases. And as he said, yeah, it could have been a little bit better, but we'll see if he actually will heed the words from the future and pick himself up that Blessing. But right now, we haven't really seen too much in terms of aggression going back and forth. Both teams are just kind of situating for position. I think they might want to try using that Cocoon into the Explode, but it's just going to be the bread and butter. The throw into Explode. We got the turret there, also landing some big damage. Gallo going to come in from the side there. PO didn't actually throw down any kind of big commitments to it, but now he also tried to come up here and grab out that jungle health so that Red can deny it to Red. But either way, you know, we're not really seeing that big team fight aggression. Like, that was a great toss, but there's not very much follow-up. He just kind of flew way too far.
Flew way too far into a place where he could get out easily on top of that.
Yep.
Seriously, taking a lot of damage. He ate an Earthquake a little bit earlier, but he'll end up being fine. Luigi eating a bite. I guess that's kind of funny when you think about it.
Eating a bite.
Eating a bite. He's also got boots now, so he's able to move around a little bit quicker, which is important in this level, for Genji in particular, because he's got a hard time moving around all this. He's now invisible. He's got the opportunity to poke away, and he will, but no kills yet coming out for HVT at the 6-minute mark. No more kills, anyhow. They're both sitting at 3. Yep. It's been about a kill a minute since that 3-minute mark.
Yeah, but we've seen definitely a lull here in the kills as both teams are just clamoring again for the position.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Deflects bullets with Bash. We're going for a much more defensive shield kind of build on Shirzi this time.
Can you deflect Cocoon?
I think you can. And that is, in fact, a thing that happens, that exists. It also works against clunk missiles.
Yeah.
And turret bullets.
Yeah, but that's a bullet. Yeah, and turrets are definitely a given. I'm just curious to see if Luigi is going to be starting to try initiating from afar with Cocoons, and you lead into an Explode, you lead into hammers and death. If you can deflect them.
You can. We just saw there for a brief second there was an attempted Cocoon, and Shirzi went, nope, and punched it right in the face. So the solution to all your problems, punching it right in the face.
That's the school to your motto.
That's how the Shirzi do.
Doesn't matter if he's hot, cold, demonic, or regular. Punch everything.
Yep. And even Honeydew recommends it. So out comes the Earthquake. Shirzi now running away. This is a problem. He can't quite punch in the face. Could not quite yet, not with that level of HP. And Red Team going to go ahead and use this opportunity to get some farm going on for their team. It's a farm that they could use. They're about 100 solar behind on their scoop and 100 solar ahead on their other 2 characters. Like, the solar level is actually really close.
Yeah, and the flyer droids would be a great tool there for some of that split pushing. So the butterflies being spawned by Master Butterfly himself there. So yeah, we'll have to see if that can actually lead into any kind of significant damage over time in some of these other lanes. But
as I was looking for,
yeah, it's going to be an Explode combo right there. Luigi down.
That was really unfortunate that I missed that, but we all know the story there. Throw into terrible.
Throw, Explode. Death.
Yeah, throw, Explode, death. And what was even worse is that there was no way a Cocoon would help. Cocoon only works on one person at a time, and it can be deflected. So that could be bad. And Shirzi looking to get that punch on Collector's Edition. Collector's Edition looking to at least die for a reason. Tozar will end up picking up his Death Solar. But Blue Team all going to be very much alive. PO PO the only one that's had to head home to heal. Now we got Basic Blessing picked up by Luigi, so that's something that you can't deflect. That is a thing that you can use all the time to save your Heine.
So if you know that we have Deflect Fist there on the Skoldir, if you save the Cocoon for the Exploding Clunk, that could easily defeat this combo.
Absolutely. If you save the Cocoon as a defensive tool, and the guy like Shirtzy doesn't punch it away, then it'll definitely be very helpful. But even if that doesn't end up happening, even if they do end up using the Cocoon on an Exploding Clunk, they can use that blessing for another thing, like a Trinomite or something like that. And this is just turning into a really big problem for everybody. Shirtzy currently running away for his life. Tozar going to go down to Malkno, but in the end, Collector's Edition going to pick up Shirtzy. Now Malkno goes to explode. Out comes the Cocoon with no Shirtzy to punch it apart. That explode is going to end up going, getting defeated. It's going to get cocooned.
It was a good attempt from Luigi, but he still lost out 2 teammates.
Oh, no.
Oh, the blessing!
The blessing is too strong. What did I say?
Gravity, gravity, gravity. Good job, Luigi.
Just barely dodging the droid bullet, as it were. Like, those droids would have actually killed him.
Yep.
That would have been embarrassing.
But that's why you go blessing. And if you guys are Genji players, you go into solo queue, you want to try Genji, for sure, get your blessing earlier rather than later.
Especially against teams with that are building really heavy into bursts, like Malkno. He has Snare Bite, though. No increase in damage on the explode yet. So, really, the burst isn't quite as high as it could be. Blessing only barely saved Luigi there. So, if Malkno gets any more damage upgrades, that might end up being enough. Luigi using a blessing just on him, and early. That's going to be 12 seconds before that's up again. The blue team now have an opportunity to go in and do some real damage, but Shirtzy's not around to really get that initiation off.
Speaking of some of the damage, we have been taking a quick look at some of the tower hit points here, and the top blue is definitely not looking so good, but it's even worse for top red. And ooh, that's not going to be a blessing situation that Luigi can get out of, but they do actually have the turret kill there on top of PO, so it will equalize out. Shirtzy's not looking so hot, but as I said, the reds are definitely losing out a little bit more here on their turrets, but they do have their licks in on the top, a little bit on the bottom, but it's definitely much more pronounced here in the top lane.
Absolutely, and with that objective gain, eventually those 2 turrets will go down, and if they go down first, there's going to be another cash infusion that Gallo can definitely use to cement their position ahead. They are currently 8-5, but it's still very much a close game, and it's like you got HVT. They can still turn this around despite the fact that they're about 200 to 300 solar behind the members of Gallo for about a combined total of 800 or 900 solar or so. Oh,
yeah, you got to put those piggy banks into perspective. But here comes the explode. Does land on top of Master Collection, the Collector's Edition. No Masters here, but the Trinomite is actually going to seal the deal. The Bull is going to come out. Doesn't actually land Tozar into a very favorable position, but I'm a little curious that Luigi's actually going to try to collapse her on top of the Clunk instead of going for the kill here on top of Shirtzy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, that was a 1-for-nothing trade. That ended up working out very well for Gallo. That was just outplaying right there. I was expecting a return kill, but no such luck. Out comes the Snare Bite. Out comes the Explode. That's going to be a kill on Tozar, so that's another 1-for-nothing pickoff. And this time there is absolutely no way to come back to get a return kill on that. Not easily, anyway.
Gravity's great, but it works for your opponents too.
Yeah, absolutely. Luigi doing his best to get out of here. He's going to succeed. And
got the turret.
And the top turret goes down. It's a cash infusion that Malkno can definitely use.
Yeah, but Luigi
getting and people are getting caught out left, right, and center here. They're barely surviving, and if they get caught out in a Snare Bite, they die.
Yep. Bull's going to be used in the bottom. In fact, the 2/3 of the team's down there, and they will take home the second turret. They're just low enough that auto attacks and Bulls and Dynamites, and we don't actually have any auto attacks on the Clunk today. It's all about this Explode, all about that self-destruct, and so he's really, really landing them.
And Luigi goes down as well. So that was another really well-placed Snare Bite. There's a lot of stuff that Gallo can do to keep people in place, and they are not missing any of it. Those bites nailing every single time, and every single time that they land, it's either very close to a kill or it's been landing a kill. It's terrifying.
Yeah, no, terrifying is a great word for it. So I'm taking a quick look at some of the other builds here. The blue Lone Star, he has a little bit of auto attack behind him now.
Yeah, and that's just because he can
grenades as well.
Yep, transfusion grenades are excellent. Allow him to brawl a lot better, particularly against the Clunk or a Scoop. That's what kept him alive in that previous engagement, where it seemed like there was a chance for a kill, but No Dice Collector's Edition taking a lot of damage.
Explode, bro.
Yeah, there we go. So it's going to hit everybody for 750, but they're going to just walk away from that, go home, heal, spend money. They've got that opportunity, and there's now going to be a lot of stuff being bought. We got damage and pills being bought up by the Lone Star. He now has a very damaging left click, as does the Clunk. He picks up his missile salvo, a very expensive, pricey upgrade.
They're going for turrets. They think that they can end this now or earlier rather than later.
Absolutely, but on top of that, that left click is brutal if given enough time. PO in particular, not one to miss very often. Out comes the explode. Toes are going to go down to Gallo's bullets, and now the push is going to be real as they've got a 3v2 advantage against HVT.
13-5, and as I said, 3v2. This is like one of the worst things you can do in any kind of team-based game. Is by the time you get to a late game scenario, and that earthquake dot. Not that this is really that late game, but because of the kills and because of the pressure, it might as well be. If you go off on your own, you get caught, you get ambushed, and you die, and then somebody else does the same, you're back up, you can never get a full 3v3, you can never really play to your full potential, and that will just lead you into a lemming-style death. And that we've been seeing that repeatedly. Gallo has been ganking, pushing, and grabbing one kill, sometimes two, sometimes three, but all they need is one, and all of a sudden you're stuck on defense.
Yeah, and this defense not going to be one that's going to last very long.
Not at all.
With all that left click, this core is going to go down very quickly. Out comes an exploding cocoon. So he does have that. The throw's going to miss, but that's not really going to matter. You've got, what, like 120 damage bullets at the very least. You've got a full missile salvo coming out of the Clunk. Sheartsy's punches also doing a little bit of damage and stopping cocoons from happening.
This is why they went auto attack.
Yeah, this is why they went auto attack, because they got that slight advantage, and it was enough to end the core here and now. So that's going to be game 2, going towards Gallo, putting them 2-0 in this best-of-3 series between HVT and themselves. HVT now going to have to go home. They're done here in Qualifier 4. Gallo, on the other hand, they have a chance at the finals still. They go on to the next round.
Yep, that means they're into the quarters. And, if they're into the quarters, you have a shot at the semis. If you're a shot in the semis, you have a shot of actually joining our 6 teams that have qualified. And they will be playing off, again, January 17, January 18.
Next weekend.
$5,000 of prize pools. And yeah, that is next weekend. It's really creeping up on us.
Yeah.
Back in the planning phases and everything, like, yeah, we'll do it in January. It's like, wow, it's January. It's really creeping up to us. But before we get to that, obviously, we need to find out who will be joining them today. And Gallo is a very strong contender.
They've been playing very well today, very aggressive. Their bread and butter makeup between Lone Star, Clunk, and Skoldir in these past couple of matches have been showing a commanding lead in terms of how they take their kills. They show their.
It's a great wombo.
Yeah, when they get their advantages, they push them. They go for builds that work under the circumstances. So Maukno going for the explode. You had Lone Star, PO going for the left click as soon as it was like, you know what, I can live with what I've got.
Yep.
Let's go ahead, get that left click up and running. So that way, if we do get another advantage like that, we can really abuse it. And
take
that they did.
Take down the towers, take down the core.
And probably the coolest pickup was that deflect on the fist. Like that is one of the most specific upgrades, and it was very, very good in this particular situation. It stopped a lot of potential cocoons, and it forced Luigi out of his comfort zone. He thought that cocoon was going to be useful at what it was, and not the case.
Yeah, the Genji pick was a great idea on paper. Fortunately, lack of either team synergy, lack of execution, got blown up a heck of a lot, whatever the reason was. We will say goodbye to them, and we will say congratulations to Gallo. They move on, which means that we will also now move on to the quarterfinals, and I believe we are actually going to be following Gallo into their next match. So
all right.
We like these guys so much, we're just going to keep them on stream. It's very fun guys, fun teams, and some just fun plays. It's just amazing
they're
to watch.
Very aggressive team for what I've seen, and I'm happy. Like that's something that I always
deliver.
like to watch. They do deliver. They are an entertaining group of people to watch.
So these guys are all playing for a reason, right? And we talk about it. There's big qualifiers coming up. There's a big prize pool. What exactly is that prize pool? Well,
that's my question.
Let's take a quick gander out. Follow me, Wolf, to a world of money and Alienware Alphas.
All about the money.
Copies,
Holy cow.
copies of Awesome Knots, and of course the 3 skin bundles a piece. So over $2,800 of prizes and cash. A little bit of cash, but those Alienware Alphas, man, they really bring up this prize, and you can see it right there at the bottom. Some clean lines and great curves. We said something about it, but Either way, it's a sexy looking thing, and you know, you can play Awesome on that. That is the whole big thing here. You can play Steam games.
Really?
It's going to come with Awesome Knots. And of course, the winners, you know, maybe they will grace us with their next tournament play from their boxes.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Honestly, having one of those would be a neat thing.
Yeah, I like the idea of it.
Me too. Me too. But if you're not winning first place, what are you getting?
A little bit of cash in your pocket there. Actually, a good chunk of cash. $900 split 3 ways. 15 copies of Awesome 3 skins. Third place, of course, it does go home with a little bit of them as well. But 4th to 8th, they do get themselves the Awesome as well as the skin bundles. And everybody in the qualifiers, you know, we did 4 qualifiers of 128. So 512 teams got Ayla skins, 512 times 3 players. 1,500 Ayla skins up for grabs. You know, you signed up, you played. Doesn't matter if you lost, you played, which means that you go home with a Teddy Ayla skin courtesy of Ranoma Games.
Woo! And isn't she cute? Look at that.
If only she could win.
If only she could win.
If production guy is not my fan right now. Either way, when we return, round of 8, the quarterfinals. We're so close right now to finding out who's going to go into the finals and get those seeds so that they can go all the way to the grands. But when we return, Gallo here in the quarters, and we will see you in a few.